for the Susan Taylor Podcast, where we discuss the yoga of mind, medicine, and healing. Author of Feeling Good Matters, Sexual Radiance, and the Vital Energy Program, Dr. Taylor imparts authentic knowledge and practical tools that inspire, educate, and empower us to be a healing force for positive change. So join us and take your life and our planet to the next level.
Hello and welcome to episode 18, Build Your Foundation for Vitality. We live in a nation with absolute abundance, yet we suffer from diseases of depletion. We spend billions of dollars trying to stay healthy and happy, vitamins, supplements, all sorts of things from self-help. But somehow we're falling short. What's causing this reality? Today I'd like to discuss a topic that is very close to my heart. It's called vitality. I've spent decades studying it from all aspects because to be vital means that we have the energy and resources to live a life of prosperity and freedom. Everyone wants vitality, but do we really know the framework that supports having a vital life? Let's begin with the foundation for vitality and give some practical solutions so that you can get started. As a pioneer in the field of what I term nutritional energetics, we devitalize our mind, body, and spirit from lack of nourishment. When I use the phrase nourishment, I'm speaking about lack of nourishment from our eating habits, the poor foods that we choose, even though we think that they're optimal, and also how we nourish ourselves and how we think and behave on a daily basis. As humans, we eat anything from fresh foods to synthetic compounds that aren't even food sources, not paying attention to the subtle vibration that these foods and our habits, of our eating habits as well as our thinking habits, have on our mind as well as our body. We also entertain our minds with activities that actually deactivate our vital energy and over time diminish the storage reserves. For example, when we entertain our minds with, say, movies or books or music that's disturbing to the balance of the mind, we're actually taking out the energy sources. We're depleting ourselves and draining them. Remember, the body and mind are one, so what goes on with one will ripple its effect on the other. Let's take a look at some foundation principles with regard to vital energy. When looking at the three components to building our foundation for vital energy, we should look at the nature of energy itself. I've done many podcasts in the past on nature of energy because, again, that's close to my heart. Vitality is nature, and it's also energy. Energy needs to be contained. Otherwise, it really gets lost. Once energy is contained, it needs to have enough space to move. You never see water flowing freely if there's a dam in a river. It gets all stopped up. Well, if we want the energy to be utilized after we collect it, it needs to be focused. So focus is the key to life and the key to vitality. Let's take a look at these fundamental principles that I just mentioned. Collecting our energy, containing it, letting it circulate and focus. Because these principles will help you in your day-to-day life and how you can actually bring vitality into your life. They'll work together. So the first point, energy needs to be contained, I mentioned. We all know that if we feel tired and run down, our energy is depleted. What causes energy depletion is having more output than input. But that's not that simple to identify by just looking at what we eat. We leak our energy from stress, thinking too much, worrying, anger, irritation, fear, and any emotion for that matter that causes the mind to go astray, perhaps even feeling threatened. If we continue to leak energy and not seal our leaks, we'll keep wasting our energy until we are depleted and become out of balance. How many of you out there listening spend time during the day worrying or fearful or have emotional outbursts. Those outbursts can be anything from being scared or reacting to something, or maybe something didn't go your way and you're upset about it, or calling. Sometimes we have to call for our computer or the phone company. We're put on hold for an hour before we get someone. All of this actually causes our energy to leak if we're not contained and we don't know how to contain ourselves. So for the first practice to get started is really identifying what is draining our energy. As we discussed in our last podcast, Preventing Burnout, it requires that we identify the problem, and then once we identify that, we can repair the damage. If you keep a journal and start to record when you feel great and perhaps when you feel drained, over time you're going to begin to watch the patterns of what's taking place. And you may notice a pattern that repeats itself, and then the habits around that pattern, and you'll see what's draining you. It'll reveal itself, and then you could move on to actually removing what's really causing the drain and also restore any damage that may be done. So the first point was energy needs to be contained. The second point is energy needs to be focused. When we focus our energy, we build a reserve of energy. Only with positive habits going in the direction or having health and wellness do we start to build our reserves. Having a healthy brain, for example, is the root of being focused. I said energy needs to be focused, but we do have a mind-body here. Remember, the body is the mind and the mind is the body, just a different way it's displayed. They're one and the same. So the energy needs to be focused. You need to have a healthy brain. When we focus our energy, our vital energy reserves become concentrated and life-sustaining. What and how we feed our brain by way of food, nutrients, and activities determine how fast we can build our reserve and how strong our reserve will become. Focus creates happiness. I've said it over and over, but actually I found a study that supports this. It was a study done by Killingworth of Harvard University in 2010. They researched the happiness quotient of they're my words, happiness quotient, but talking about happiness. And in the report, they reported those that allow their mind to wander demonstrated less happiness. So mind wandering, I really call it mind or awareness wandering, demonstrates that people are more unhappy. This concluded that in their study that focus leads to happiness. You can check out our blog where I have the links for that for you to look at it on your own. Thinking about something else then is correlated with unhappiness, not happiness. Energy needs to be circulated. That's the third step. We've discussed that energy needs to be contained, energy needs to be focused. Now we're moving on. Energy needs to be circulated to have the complete picture of vital energy. Vibration is the key to life, and vibration implies the movement of energy. Our vitality quotient is determined by not only how well we flow through life, but how well our human organism maintains flow. If we look at heart disease being the number one killer, which it is, it tells us that somewhere we've stopped the flow. The heart is literally our seat of feelings and where our emotions percolate. You have heard many say, open your heart, love, have compassion, but that's not so easy if we're storing sadness from the past or worries of the future. Working with the first two principles is needed to be understood and embraced if we're to be beginning to bring that flow back. If we're to begin to bring that flow back in our life, what I'm really saying is we need to understand these principles. Keep in mind, energy needs space to move. I mentioned that in the very beginning. Stagnant energy creates disease. To have flow in life, we need to create space. In other words, we need to let go of the happenings and feelings that cause obstructed flow of energy. We practice this by following cleansing practices for both the mind and body. Working with cleansing practices coupled with a nourishing diet, we then see progress. That's why in the spring when we do our diet detox or rehabbing the gut, we always include nourishment with cleansing. So keep that in mind for those of you that practice. Energy needs to be contained, energy needs to be focused, and energy needs to be circulated. So what can we do for a practical approach to getting and keeping our vitality? As I always mention, remain calm, consciously aware, living in the moment. In essence, when you are aware and able to assess your situation, you can get a solution. Find where your energy is leaking, and you must remain calm for this. Second, build a reserve of energy. You can do this by having 1 or 2 freshly prepared meals per day. The body needs nutrients to be nourished. Freshly prepared foods hold the vitality of the molecules that you're ingesting. When food is stale or dead, it doesn't have the energetic quality to supply the vitality to the cells. And maintain your flow by practicing letting go of what you don't need and what's not supporting your best intentions. Incorporate meditation into your life, and you'll see changes very soon. Meditation, that's a mindfulness and focus practice. Remember, a bird needs 2 wings, both mindfulness and focus to be a meditation practice, to take the best medicine, to make it the best medicine. And when they're combined with your lifestyle of good food, family, and friends, you'll hit home run with vitality. Your practical approach to getting and keeping up your vitality is to remain calm, build a reserve of energy with proper nourishment, proper foods, and maintain your flow by practicing letting go of what you don't need, incorporating meditation into your life, and combine it with a lifestyle of good food, family, and friends, and you're on your way. That brings us to the end of this episode. And as I've mentioned before, if you want to be notified weekly for new podcasts, please subscribe. Go to SusanTaylor.com or download it on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher and tune in. SusanTaylor.org will help you with getting started on your subscription if you need. Contact SusanTaylor.org with any questions or comments and feedback. And thanks again for listening. The Susan Taylor Podcast comes out every week. Until next time, remain calm